Good morning, all. Thank you very much for the warm welcome. I'm very honored and humbled to be here today. To be honest, I haven't really been in an elementary school since 4th grade. That's when I started going to online school full time. I'm sure many of you are familiar with online school, especially after the pandemic. Am I right? Yeah. Raise your hand if you are 11 years old. Cool. We're at the age when I started racing in a go-kart. My mom always jokes that I came out the womb wanting to race, but I didn't get the opportunity until I was 11 at an indoor rental go-kart place at Chicagoland. Then, at 11, I started racing in a mini cup stock car, which is half the size of a NASCAR car in 2014. It wasn't easy moving from go-karts to stock cars. You see, we didn't know those cars existed until we saw them at a car show. My parents had already brought me a go-kart to race full-time and move up into the open wheel racing scene, which eventually can land you in the IndyCar series. My extended family would have been more than happy to see that I would have followed my great-great-grandfather's roots and raced in IndyCar, even in the Indy 500, and he was the chief steward of Indianapolis Motor Speedway for a while. But I had to go with my heart. But this was one of my earliest life lessons, which is pursue your passion. It was around this time that my parents knew this is what I wanted to do with my life, so they wholeheartedly supported me. There are many hours spent going to the racetracks and being at racetracks. Now, how do you think Mr. Bedwell would have felt if my mom went to him and said, "My son needs to be out of school multiple days a week just so he can race"? That just doesn't work, does it? Luckily, online school is becoming popular and I was able to learn that way. There were a lot of days reading and studying at home, on the way to the track and at the racetrack. Along the way, we learned so much. A funny story, my parents had never even changed oil in a car before I started racing. Guess who was my pit crew when I started racing? You know what they called us when we showed up to the racetrack? We were often nicknamed the Clown Crew. Now, I was competing for Rookie of the Year, and I wanted that really bad, but the odds were stacked against me. But we didn't get better, we got better. And so we studied how to set up a race car and read volumes of information on what we can do to make a race car fast. My dad especially worked hard in the garage, and we started running up front by the end of the year. And guess what? I ended up winning Rookie of the Year honors. The lesson in that has become my motto: never give up. My path in life is not a traditional path. I haven't been to college, and that's okay. It's okay to be different because equal does not equal deficient. I can always go back to school and get a college degree, but my days right now are busy trying to be the best race car driver I can be. Some people may think it's an easy life to be a race car driver. Like, hey, you just show up to the racetrack a few times a year and you get paid to do that. But if you want to compete at the top levels, your days are filled with going to the gym to work out. It takes a lot of strength, especially in your neck and upper body, to endure the force of going close to 200 miles per hour. I also focus on my weight and nutrition so that I have the muscle mass to stay in a weight range to fit comfortably in my seat and suit. There's also a machine called a neurosomatic machine that I train on to keep my reaction times below a certain level. I also have meetings with my sponsors and help do my marketing. Plus, I spend many hours on my simulator training for races. What some people may not know, that race car drivers do not get scouted or drafted like players in the NBA and NFL. They have to fund their own racing. You don't really start making a salary until you're the top levels of IndyCar or the NASCAR Cup Series. there are many times I've gone to a racetrack and haven't raced. Why? Well, to paraphrase Theodore Roosevelt, the credit belongs to the person that actually shows up to the arena. I've gone because I love being at a racetrack, but I've also watched and learned, and I never show up to the track without my driver gear. You never know when someone will need a fill-in driver. In 2022, the Arkham and Art Series, I raced 6 different car numbers and came 9th in the championship points in my rookie season because I was willing to do what it takes to race. My team owner, Andy Hillenberg, has stated that many people think the greatest tragedy is that a talented driver will not get the chance. But he believes the greatest tragedy is a driver getting that once-in-a-lifetime opportunity and not being prepared to step up to the challenge and it ruins their career. I intend to be prepared, so I put in the work. I read and I learn every day. I am known as an underdog driver that team owners can depend on to get the job done. My teams haven't been the most well-funded, but we have learned to do the best we can with what we have to work with and take advantage of any opportunity along the way. I've won championships and races and everything I've raced up to where I am now, but I'm looking forward to this season because I have a team owner and a team that believes in me and my talent. We feel with hard work, passion, and a little luck along the way, we can show people what an inspiration a small underdog team can be. You may have heard in 2021, my dad suffered a stroke, and I thought I may never have raced again. Fortunately, my fans funded me, and my team owner offered me a chance because of how I listened to him when I met him. This taught me a lot about relationships. Surround yourself with people that believe in you and that you can trust. That relationships are one of the most important aspects of life, whether it's work, family, or friendships. How you treat people matters because you never know who it is that you might be talking to, especially at a racetrack. The best days for a race car driver are, of course, race days. For me, there's nothing like hearing the roar of an engine, smelling the rubber of tires, and hanging out at the racetrack. The days are long and hanging out, and sometimes going to the garage at 5 in the morning and not leaving until their race is over late at night. There's unloading the car, looking at the track, going over information with the spotter and crew chief, practice, qualifying, and the race. In between all of that are media obligations. You need to make sure you are well hydrated and eat lots of protein or it can get up and sit really well since it can get up to 180 degrees inside the race car. Some people ask what it's like getting into the race car. It's my happy place, my work office. There's nothing like the first time you're belted in and turning on the car and hearing the engine fire up for the first time. It's also the moment of realization that you're about to go onto the track and you have to focus. Let's do an exercise that I've learned. Take a deep breath in. Hold it, hold it, hold it. Now let it out. You just learned a key to getting focus. It may seem counterintuitive for a race car driver to say this, but sometimes you have to slow down to speed up. That applies to racing and it applies to life. Even when you're trying to figure out a long word on a page to read, you can do it. Find something in life that makes you feel joy and figure out how to do that for a job so it doesn't feel like work. If you like to cook, learn how to be a chef. If you like to work on cars, learn how to be a mechanic, welder, even an engineer that designs them. If you like to draw, learn how to become an artist, graphic designer, art director, or run a marketing department. There are so many options available to you, but to do these things, you need to be able to read. Switching gears, did you know that on any given weekend in the United States of America, there are over 400,000 racers racing at 1,500 tracks across the country? I know it's reading week, but let's do some math. Last year, when I was at Daytona, I counted the number of drivers that got to race here. It was around 150 across the 4 NASCAR sanctioned series. So divide 150 by 400,000 and you get 0.00375. That means less than 0.25% of the drivers that would love that chance actually getting to race there. I know I'm one of the lucky ones. Take it to heart when I say, don't let the odds against you be the discouragement of you. Speaking of Daytona, I went this year to get to know my new race team. Along the way, I thought about what it took to get there and the people that made a race weekend work. I had to pass the test to get a driver's license to drive in Florida and be able to read the signs and directions along the way. To get my NASCAR license, I had to be able to read the forms and fill out the application. Getting to the infield garage area required following the signs and to go through the tunnel that goes under the track and navigate where to go. You have to be able to read, to look at the stats and see where you are compared to the competition. In the pits, there are people from different backgrounds. People that run the series are in marketing. Many of them went to college. Crew members work on the car. Many of them went to a technical school. There are people that plan the meals, cook, clean the track, medical personnel, firefighters, technical inspectors, team owners, spotters, mechanics, media people, and photographers. The list goes on. My point is, even though there are people from many different walks of life and backgrounds, they are all needed to make a race weekend successful. This is very much true of everyday life. All people with all interests are needed. The key is that to do these things, you need to be able to read, whether it's a recipe, a training manual, a business case, or a job application. Most of you will probably want to get a driver's license, take out a loan, or sign a contract, and you probably will in your lifetime. Being able to read, especially the fine print, is so important in all of these things. We are in one of the greatest points of history where no matter what you want to learn, it is practically at your fingertips. Figure out what you love to do. Make a career or several careers out of it. Take what you read and learn to make the world in your community a better place. And no matter what, never, ever give up. Thank you.
Thank you, Zachary.